What's up, everybody? It's your boy Cody from Savant Selects giving you a Week 3 recap and what it says about your team headed into Week 4. Thursday night, we started off with the Dolphins at the Bills. Dolphins were a little bit more competitive than I thought they would be. However, Bills Mafia always wins at home. They weren't planning on winning this game anyways. Dolphins got a lot of work to do. I think it might be Mike McDaniel's last season as your head coach. And the Bills probably should have won this with a little bit more enthusiasm here, but 3-0, you'll take that every day of the week. Moving on, we have the Packers versus the Browns. I'm a Bears fan myself, so I love to see the Packers lose. This lets you know that the Browns have a top 5 defense in this league, and the Packers offensive line needs some serious work. All 5 of their worst graded PFF players was their starting O-line. So that's something they need to work on for the future. Then we have the Colts and the Titans. Danny Dimes does it, baby. He's back, and he's showing that he can be a franchise QB in this league. The Titans are terrible. Cam Ward needs a lot of help. I think that roster, top to bottom, is probably the worst in the league. Colts move on to 3-0. Who would have thought that, right? Then we have the Bengals versus the Vikings. Honestly, I knew the Vikings were good, but their defense stepped up and showed that they were elite this past Sunday. The Bengals are not going to be able to win with Jake Browning. They can barely even win with Joe Burrow sometimes, so their future is looking a little bit shaky until Joe Burrow comes back. However, they are 2-1. Don't want to write them off just yet. Also, what is Chase Brown doing? He has like 45 carries for like 70 yards on the season. He needs to figure that out. Then we have the Steelers versus the Patriots. Nice, good old-fashioned ground and pound football. The Steelers pulled away with a win. Nice little pass from Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf for a touchdown. The Patriots just cannot hold on to the ball. I saw 5 or 6 fumbles in that game alone. They need some coaching for sure. Then we probably have one of the games of the week, Rams versus the Eagles. What a crazy finish. Blocked field goal, and I think Jordan Davis scoop and score to win the game. I thought the Rams had this one in the bag. They looked like the better team for all of 3 quarters. And then, of course, the Eagles do what they do. They find a way to win. They move on to 3-0. The Rams 2-1 with a lot of promise in their future still. Matt Stafford is still an elite quarterback in this league. We're moving on to the Jets versus the Bucks. Bucks found a way to get it done. The Jets looked a little bit more promising, even though they had Tyrod Taylor back there throwing the ball. You take it every single day of the week, right? The Bucks just need a win. They're a pretty hurt team. You got some rising stars, as you've seen in our last videos, like Emeka Ibuka and Bucky Irving had a nice game. And Baker just found a way to get it done, right? So 3-0 for them. Jets move on to 0-3. It is what it is. Then we have the Raiders versus the Commanders. Commanders are looking like a scary team with or without Jayden Daniels. They just have a good offensive game plan. They have a great defense to match. The Raiders look like they're in shambles every single week. Geno Smith still throws for 300 yards, which I think is funny. They need to give Ashton Jeanty the ball. Am I right? Then we move on to the upset of the week, which is the Falcons losing to the Panthers 0-30. Who knows if Michael Penix is a guy? That offense looked like they were in shambles the entire day. Their defense couldn't buy a stop. Bryce Young didn't even play that great. They found a way to win. Couldn't stop Chuba Hubbard. They won in every statistical offensive category, the Falcons did, and still found a way to lose, which is not good. So we move on to the Texans versus Jaguars. Listen, both teams are not looking very good, but the Jaguars found a way to get it done. You love how ETN is playing this year. You love how Nico Collins is playing this year. The Texans' O-line stinks. They cannot stop anybody. They were giving up pressure all day, and they can't find a way to close out games. You hope CJ Stroud gets some help soon. Now we move on to another great game, which was the Broncos versus the Chargers. All I have to say about this was it was a good old-fashioned shootout, basically. I mean, I know the score was only 23-20, but wow, like great defense on both sides, a lot of big plays. The stars came to play, right? Herbert had a good game. Sutton had a great game. Bo Nix is still figuring it out, but that defense is amazing. That was one of the best games of the week. Chargers move on to 3-0. Broncos sit at 1-2 in one of the toughest divisions in football. Moving forward, we got the Seahawks versus the Saints. The Saints might not win a game this year. Their team is looking terrible. I feel bad for Alvin Kamara, who's just been such a legend for them. But Seahawks continue to show that they can do it in all 3 phases. They got a really stout defense. They have a serviceable, more than serviceable offense with Sam Darnold running the show, and their special teams, I think, scored 2 touchdowns this week. So good for them. They move on to 2-1. Then we got the Cowboys versus the Bears. Caleb Williams finally shows up and throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Cowboys defense is absolute Swiss cheese. Got a little bit lucky with the CeeDee Lamb injury, but you get a win however you can in football. And the Bears finally get their first home win and win of the season. And we keep pushing forward, right? So we got the Cardinals versus 49ers. In my eyes, one of the sloppiest games I've seen in a while. Nobody could buy a touchdown, a score. Mac Jones did a good job being serviceable, 285 yards and a touchdown. McCaffrey obviously doing a load of the work with 17 carries and I think like 8 catches. Ricky Pearsall with a nice day, and Kyler Murray and the Marvin Harrison connection still can't seem to figure it out. I think that they will figure it out, and they're 2-1 in a very competitive division, but they could have really used this win, and they kept it close for a majority of the game. Then we have the Chiefs versus the Lions. Nothing special in terms of a game. The Giants are absolutely terrible. Jackson Dart has just been announced to start for this weekend, and the Chiefs just did their job, right? They didn't make it look pretty at all. Only scoring 22 points. Mahomes had a nice day, not a great day by any means. And Cam Skattebo, look out for him as a rookie running back should come onto the scene moving forward to the middle of the season. And then finally, another probably game of the week if I had to pick 2, Lions versus Ravens. Lions are absolutely no joke. Dan Campbell has that team humming. They're doing a great job on offense. They're doing a great job on defense. Lamar can only play hero ball for so long. He needs more receivers who can get open, but the Lions are a team to not mess with moving forward. So that is our quick recap of week 3 in the NFL. Let me know how your team's doing, and let me know what you think the week 4 predictions will be.